Hey guys, welcome to the Animation Movies Recapped. This is David with you. In today's video, I am going to recap a 2022 computer-animated fantasy comedy film called The Amazing Morris. I really enjoyed the movie very much and hope you will like it too. So without wasting any more time, let's start with the recap. The story opens in a small village with a performance by a talking cat named Morris. The villagers are experiencing severe rat infestation and Morris sings about it. As his performance goes on, we see rats of different types and sizes running around the scene and wreaking havoc. They are being seen in households, inside food, around other animals, in the water, and in other places as well. The villagers ask Morris after his performance to help them get rid of the rodents since he was a cat, and that's what cats are excellent at. But he declines and replies to them, saying that the rats are much in number than his ability. Morris then recommends that the villagers get the help of the piper. As he says this, he gestured toward a young lad wearing a hoodie who is playing a flute. The piper approaches the village playing the flute, and suddenly all the rats in the village become transfixed by his music, thereby following him. While this happens, Morris brings out a container for the villagers to pay for his services, which they do willingly. Now having the rodents under his control, he walks towards a stream and the rats follow the sound of the flute. The rodents get into the stream and they aren't seen again. The villagers seeing this become so excited and applaud Piper for his help. In the middle of this, a boy reveals that Morris the cat is nowhere to be found, and after everyone turns to look for the cat, they realize that the piper has disappeared. At the other end of the stream, and far away from the village, the rats swim out of the water and dry themselves. Running towards them is Keith, the supposed piper. These rats could talk, read and write and wore clothes. What happened at the village was all a performance. Keith wasn't a real piper, the rats weren't hypnotized by his flute, and Morris is also an accomplice to the scam. Morris gives the rodents some accolades for their performance and shows them the money they made from the village. He is interrupted by a slight cough behind him, and we see a female rat named Peaches. She shares with him that it isn't appropriate to continue tricking and stealing from human beings. Peaches is supported by an older and wiser rat named Dangerous Beings. He mentions to Morris that it isn't proper to trick people. Morris doesn't accept their perspective and shares with them that trickery is part of life. He goes further to remind them of the reason they started tricking humans, which is to make money to find the island paradise. This island paradise is a fictional place the rats read about in a book, and they also believe that it exists. They ask Keith to hand them the book, which he does, and Peaches reads its content to the other rats. She explains to them that it is a place where human beings and animals live peacefully together. Although Morris doesn't believe that it exists, he lies that it does. When asked if he has been there before, he tells Peaches and the other rats that he hasn't, but has other cat friends who have. Morris was lying. He never spoke to other cats because other cats couldn't talk like him. He was unique, and he knew it, so he decided to take advantage of the rats and gather some money for himself to survive later. Because of this, Morris leads the rodents on stealing adventures. However, he finally convinces the rats that they need to trick more humans to make more money to be able to take them to the island of paradise. Together, they head to the next town to make more money. Another scene opens in a mayor's office in a small town. Here, the mayor is about to pay 2 rat catchers for a job well done. These men were employed by the mayor to tackle the problem of a rat infestation in the town, and after some time, the rats disappear. The mayor then expresses his concern about the disappearance of food in the town. According to him, all the food in the storehouses and even on the dining tables keep disappearing. He states that the entire town is in famine. The rat catchers act confused and tell the mayor that they have no idea about the cause of the famine. They inform him that they were called to do their job, and they did it. The mayor raises his suspicion about their employer, who they called the bossman. This bossman appears from behind the door and walks into the mayor's office. He is a scary-looking figure wearing a hat and an old coat, with his entire face covered with a scarf. He terrifyingly approaches the mayor's table and the mayor is scared. He tells him that the rat catchers have kept to their end of the deal, so he should keep to his. Bossman picks up the bag of coins on the table and heads out, with the rat catchers following him. Down in the sewers, through the tunnels and pipes, Dangerous Beings, Peaches, and the other rats gain entrance to the town. The head of the journey and the strongest of them, called Doctor, assigns some rats to the town, but he tells the other rats that there is something different in the town. He explains that there are rat droppings, but there are no rats. Other rats agree with him and realize that there is something mysterious about the town. Outside, Keith and Morris approach the town through the gates. Morris notices the dead silence in the town and wonders if the rats haven't started causing commotion around. They pass by the 2 rat catchers and ever see a poster stating that 50 cents would be paid for every rat caught. Morris tells Keith that the people living in the town are well-to-do and that the town has many opportunities for them. They are at the market and notice that there is no food anywhere and most of the shops are closed. This is very odd, especially for a marketplace, and they are hungry. Morris and Keith finally see an open stall with just one fruit, and as Keith begins to bargain with the seller, the fruit disappears. He is shocked by what just happened, and the shop owner closes. Keith looks around for Morris and sees him entering a restaurant through the window. He goes after him. Keith enters the restaurant and urges Morris to follow him out of the place, but the cat doesn't listen and searches the empty plates and pots for food. A young girl arrives through another door, making them stop in their tracks. She is Melissa, the daughter of the town's mayor. Melissa gives Morris some fish and milk to eat while she gets to know Keith better. Melissa has an extreme love for books and sees life through fictitious eyes. During their conversation, Morris notices Sardines, a dancing rat coming out from a hole. He tries to alert him, but it's too late as Melissa has seen him already. She picks up a pan to hit him. Sardine starts dancing to distract her, and Keith comes to his help and rescues him from being hit. Melissa is intelligent, so within seconds, she figures out the relationship between Morris, Keith, and the other rats. She deducts that they all work together to swindle people. Morris and Keith beg her to keep it a secret, and she agrees, telling them that no one would believe her anyway. Melissa goes ahead to ask Sardine how he got the ability to talk, and this leads to a flashback. Sardine mentions to her that they used to be ordinary rats, living in dumps and eating anything they could find. From candles to sticks, powders, green stuff from the bottoms of cauldrons, and even worn-out books. He goes on to tell that they later realized that the dump belonged to an unseen university of magic, an establishment of learning where magic is studied. The rats then found out that they had been feeding on the leftovers of the magicians. Sardine reveals that they used this smartness to their advantage and learned how to read, write, and give themselves names from the books they found in the dump. After listening to the story, Melissa reveals that this information could be used to put an end to the mysterious disappearance of food in the town. She tells Keith and Morris that they would stop first at the house of the rat catchers, as she runs to change into her adventure outfit. At the house of the rat catchers, the bossman summons the rat catchers and informs them that there are new rats in town. They question what he says and inform him that the traps are empty. He replies by saying that he can feel their presence in the town and instructs the rat catchers to capture them and bring them to him. Inside the sewers, the rats walk inside the tunnel and come across a cheese. Unfortunately, the leader of the journey and also the strongest get caught in a cage. Later on, they see many other traps meant to capture rats crossing the tunnel, and they begin to wonder who would want to keep a rat. In the town, Melissa, Keith, and Morris arrive at the doorstep of the rat catchers. They find the door locked but can unlock it with the help of Melissa, who uses her hairpin. Inside the house, she tells them to look for a secret passage. But Morris and Keith pay her no attention because they think she is being fictitious as usual. She pays no attention to them and dedicates her effort to finding the secret passageway. Melissa searches for some time, and it is beginning to look like a waste of time when Sardine draws Keith's attention to a rat hole. Keith informs Melissa about this, and she hastens to the spot. She bends and places her hand into the hole and pulls a lever. As she does this, the ground that Keith stands directly over gives way, and he falls into a cellar. They enter the cellar, and they find a door that leads to a room of plentiful and bountiful food. Then they realize that the rat catchers have a hand in the mysterious happenings in the town. They are interrupted by the arrival of Peaches, who informs Keith that there is danger. Before she can explain, the other rats arrive in the cellar carrying the rat that was caught in the trap. Melissa helps the rat get out of the trap. Soon, they are interrupted by the rat catchers, who capture all of them except Morris, who escapes. The rats are kept in a cage inside a small room. Morris arrives and they plan their escape. They plan to rescue Sardines from the pit where they took him, and also rescue Keith and Melissa. Morris explains to them that in the pit, rats are placed with stronger and wild animals, and no rat has ever made it out alive. One by one, they unlock their cages using a key and set out to rescue their friends. Peaches and Dangerous Beans rescue Keith and Melissa from where they are tied in the cellar. Melissa is so excited over the fact that she is rescued by animals and makes reference to a book. This book is the same as the one the rats read, which talks about humans and animals coexisting peacefully. Peaches curiously asks her about the characters in the book, and Melissa reveals that it isn't real, but just mere fiction. Morris tries to stop her from saying the truth, but it's too late. It is revealed that everything was a lie and there wasn't any island paradise. Peaches gets furious at Morris, who attempts to apologize and make her calm. But she cries, running out of the cellar into the sewers with Dangerous Beans running after her. Inside the sewers, Beans runs after Peaches, following her trail. She runs farther, telling him to stay away from her. She later realizes that she isn't alone in the sewers. Scared, she stops running and tells Beans. Immediately, several hands appear behind her, grabbing her and disappearing. The rat catchers are both having dinner when they are interrupted by the entrance of Keith, Morris, and Melissa, who inform them that their food has been poisoned. They also tell the rat catchers that they would be given the antidote if they tell them what they do with the rats they capture. The rat catchers confess that at first, they caught a few for the pits, but they accidentally made a rat king. Morris, hearing this, becomes terrified and asks if it was still alive, and Keith, confused, asks what a rat king is. Morris replies that a rat king is a deadly evil, a collection of rats with tails knotted together. The rats together merge minds and form one creature which gains consciousness, power, and mind power. It can dominate and control others. Everyone in the room is amazed by this revelation, and Morris makes his way out of the room. Melissa leads Keith out of the town into the woods. They go to search for the only thing that can control the Rat King, which is the pipe of the Pied Piper. Keeping behind them is Morris, who is secretly making his way out of the town out of fear of the Rat King. Back in the town, the rats all go to rescue Sardines from the pit. Arriving at the pit, they see other rats being devoured by dogs. Soon, they see Sardines as he is brought into a cage and put into the pit. After a lot of tussling and fist throwing, Sardines is rescued, and their mission is accomplished. In the woods, Melissa and Keith see the Pied Piper's house and hide behind the trees while watching him. They watch as he uses the power of his pipe to bait a turkey, which he captures and cooks for dinner. Dangerous Beans are seen in his continuous search for Peaches in the sewer. He suddenly hears a voice in his head directing him. This voice belongs to the Rat King. He is using his mind power to summon Dangerous Beans to where he is. Beans follow the voice and arrive at the office of the mayor. Sitting at the table of the mayor is the supposed boss man whose true identity is the Rat King. Beans asks him of Peaches, and he tells him that she is safe. The Rat King reveals that every night, he sends the rats to go into the town to steal food, which has led to famine, and as the humans grow weaker, the rats grow stronger. He updates Beans that he should join him in his evil revolution to conquer humans once. Beans replies, informing him that it isn't his dream for humans to be conquered, but for rats and humans to live side by side peacefully. While this exchange goes on, Dangerous Beans notice that Morris is in the room. Morris attacks the Rat King, and although this has little effect, it creates enough time for them to escape. They make their escape through the window. They soon inform the rest of the rats, and they all take to heels, with the thoughts of leaving the town. In the woods, Keith and Melissa enter the Pied Piper's house to steal his pipe while he is asleep. Keith gets a hold of the pipe, but the Piper wakes up at that same moment and knocks him unconscious. When he wakes up, he sees Melissa and the Pied Piper having a conversation, and she trying to defend herself with a fork. The Piper notices that he is awake, so he plays his flute, hypnotizing Keith and Melissa. He controls them to the oven, so he can burn them there. Fortunately, they are rescued by a metal rat, and the Piper falls into a well. Together, Melissa and Keith run back to the town to defeat the Rat King. In the town, the rats are in the sewers, all running away from the Rat King. It is here that Morris reveals the reason he can talk like the other rats. He confesses that he ate a rat like them in the past and transformed. He tells them that he is sorry and they forgive him. They soon find a way out of the sewers, and they head out of it one after the other. Together, they run towards the outskirts of the town, but they are brought to a stop at the sight of the Rat King. Dangerous Beans dare him to reveal his true identity. Suddenly, all the rats in the town and the woods run towards him and assemble inside of him, forming a whole body. As soon as this act is carried out, he uses his mind power to draw Dangerous Beans and the rest of the rats to himself. They are struggling to fight his power, but it is too strong. Morris tells his friends to fight the mind power the Rat King has over them, but it's fruitless. They tell him to run and go find help. Immediately, he runs into the woods. He sees Keith and Melissa and informs them about the latest happenings, so they run back together toward the Rat King. Outside the town, the rats are being assembled into the Rat King's body. He once more asks Dangerous Beans to join him so they could rule side by side, but he still refuses. Behind him, Melissa and Morris appear and call for his attention. Then Keith appears playing with the pipe and approaching the Rat King. He is scared by the image before him, but he continues playing the instrument with fear. The sound of the pipe has no effect on the Rat King, who plunged Keith into the woods. The Rat King continues taking the rats one by one. Keith comes out from the woods and continues playing the pipe, but it still does not affect the Rat King. The Rat King tries to hit him again, but he is saved by Melissa. He then tosses her into the woods and Keith goes after her. Keith wonders why the pipe has no effect on the Rat King, and Melissa tells him that it isn't about the pipe, but the person playing it. So Keith goes back for the third time and plays the pipe. This time, it works, and the Rat King loses control of the rats, and they all scramble to safety. What is remaining is the collection of tails that formed the Rat King. The Rat King summons Dangerous Beans for the last time, and when he refuses, he kills him. Morris, seeing this, becomes furious and attacks the Rat King, disassembling the tails and destroying everything that is left of him. Everywhere becomes peaceful. Morris brings the lifeless body of Dangerous Beans to his friends, who all mourn their lost friend. Morris immediately passes out. In the spiritual realm, he sees the grim Squeaker approaching the soul of Dangerous Beans to take it with him. He stops it from taking him away, and behind him, Mr. Death appears. Morris begs Death not to take Dangerous Beans away. He then offers 2 out of his remaining 5 lives to Mr. Death, so he won't take Dangerous Beans. Death accepts his offer and leaves. In the land of the living, Morris and Dangerous Beans regain consciousness. Morris cannot remember anything that happened in the spirit world. He goes over to where the rats are and rejoices over Dangerous Beans' well-being. Everyone is filled with happiness, and Keith and Melissa share a kiss. The town becomes a tourist attraction. People travel from miles around to visit. The famine is over and there's plenty of food for everyone. The rats have a town of their own in the middle of the town. The rodents live happily, side by side with humans, just as Peaches once dreamed it'll be. All this was possible due to the efforts of the amazing Morris and his educated rodents. The end. If you loved this video, please leave a like and subscribe.